What up, boys and girls? How's it going, party people? This is Chef, New Zealand Murder History Podcast. I got a pretty cool show for you guys today. I reckon it's good. I reckon you'll like it. Anyone who's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder or just having some kind of problem, maybe click off. Well, we're going to be discussing murder and robbery and that kind of thing. It's totally not suitable for children. Kids, click off, please. The show is just for educational purposes, not to blame the victim or cause offence to Dobson or the Burgess gang or anyone really. It's just an educational show. Yeah, and I hope you like it. Alright, well, the Burgess gang, I'd just like to say first off, that's actually their real name. Usually I change gang names on this show because I don't want to be talking up gangs, making them sound notorious because that's what they want. But, well, the Burgess gang, they haven't been a thing since they got hung for their crimes a long time ago. And they're now no longer a thing, so I'm just going to actually use their real name this time, Burgess gang. Yeah, Burgess gang got the wrong man, they did. They were actually after Edward B. Fox. But they hit Dobson instead, George Dobson. Yeah, it was bad luck. It was bad luck for Dobson, you know. Things were going so good, and then bam. All right, well, originally, Richard Hill, that's Richard Burgess. Yeah, he was from London. He was a London criminal. Yeah, Richard Hill. In his late teens, he was a pickpocket. He found himself sent to Australia, as many British criminals did. But he first had to serve 8 years on a prison ship docked on the Melbourne coast. Now, when I first read this, I was like, WTF is a prison ship? Well, a prison ship, yeah. Prison ships, they took prisoners from England and Europe. They took them to Australia and sometimes New Zealand as well. Sometimes they would just anchor in a wharf for years with a ship full of prisoners because I guess they didn't have enough prisons in Australia to house the convicts, so rather than have them escape, they just kept them on the boats while they were building the prisons. I'm not really sure what a prison ship is, to be honest. I haven't been able to find very much information. But, yeah, it was a prison on a ship. And apparently they were pretty rough. So, you'll just have to use your imagination. Yeah, I mean, being on a boat and in prison for 8 years sounds really bad to me. Like, that does not sound good. Like, you'd have the worst sea legs when you finally got off that thing. It would just be horrific, but yeah. Alright, so now that this guy's done time in a prison ship, he's then gone to Dunedin, where he's been involved in a prison riot, and Burgess was actually sentenced to, I believe it was 36 lashes for the prison riot that he was involved in or caused. And he didn't like it. So he said when he gets out, he's going to kill 36 people to pay society back. But anyway, fast forward, and now it's 1866, and the Burgess gang are on the west coast, and they're up to no good. They stole 2 guns from the Hokitika police station on the 10th of May, 1866. Then they went up to Greymouth to murder Edward B. Fox. So Edward Fox was a gold buyer, and he worked for a bank. His job was to go out to the gold fields and buy gold directly from the miners. He carried a lot of cash in English pounds and also gold. So yeah, Richard Burgess, he saw this fella as a cash cow, you know. So there's a Hokitika Detective Inspector James. So James is his last name. Anyway, Detective James. Yeah, he got transferred up to Greymouth to go after Burgess and his boys. The cops were humiliated having their guns taken off them, so yeah, they weren't happy. Anyway, when Sullivan, Burgess, and Kelly and Levi heard Inspector James was after them, they decided to lay low in Cobden for a hot minute, drinking with the locals. The dastardly scoundrel Richard Burgess sent Levi up to Westport on a boat called Wallaby to case the Westport Bank for a future bank robbery. And the three remaining crew members of Burgess' gang, well, yeah, they went up the Grey Valley. So that's where we are now. This is Dobson Grey Valley. To ambush Edward B. Fox. But the local Maoris would have a hand in thwarting their plans. You see, they saw them coming a mile off. So yeah, we're talking about Tainui tribe here. They saw them coming. And they tipped off Edward Fox. And they actually the Maoris smuggled Edward Fox back down the river in a waka or a coal boat. I'm not sure, but they smuggled him back to Greymouth. Now, I'm not sure if he paid them in gold and cash or if they were just allies with Edward Fox. It's probably both, but anyway, George Dobson was travelling alone on horseback through the Grey Valley. It was the 28th of May, 1866, and George Dobson was dressed in nice clothes. George was a land survey guy, and he worked for the Canterbury provincial government. Yeah, he did land survey work for them anyway. And his brother, Arthur Dobson, he had a key role in the construction of the Arthur's Pass. And that's a road which goes from Christchurch through to Kumara and Greymouth. But that's off topic. George Dobson was... Yeah, he was off guard when the Burgess gang called him over. But when they pointed guns at him demanding gold and cash, well, he was forced off his horse and murdered for £3, which was actually still a little cash back in those days, but it wasn't really enough to kill someone for. I mean, I imagine Dobson told them that he wasn't Edward Fox, but, you know, Burgess gang, they were drunk and they really weren't trying to hear that. Although they were drunk, they still had their wits about them, because when they killed Fox, they decided not to shoot him, as a gunshot would ring out over the Grey Valley, you know? Bring attention to what they're up to. So the dastardly scoundrels, well, they strangled him, and he was also found with blunt force head injuries. So yeah, he got killed up here. We're going to go take a look at where Dobson, where his life was cruelly ended. Yeah, well, there you have it. That's the story. George Dobson, killed for £3. A cruel twist of fate, as the Burgess gang were actually after Edward B. Fox. Okay, let's take a walk. See, and it's a cool little town, you know, on a sunny day. Wouldn't it be nice just riding down here on horseback? I mean, I quite enjoyed that little drive in my car. It wasn't bad, you know. But yeah, things would have been a lot quieter back then. I mean, you would have heard workers from the nearby coal mine, I suppose. And they're having cigarette breaks and stuff like that. There's a coal mine over here. It's Brunner mine. I mean, we can't see it. There's trees in the way, but it's down there. There's actually another smaller mine here in Dobson as well. Alright, check this out. Over here, see that white memorial? That's where they killed Dobson. George Dobson, land survey guy. I kind of want to go closer and have a look, but I don't think I'm supposed to cross the train tracks, eh? Well, you're definitely not supposed to, but I don't know, maybe I'll give it a go, eh? What do you guys reckon? Should we go have a look at that sign? There's another plaque over here that's got some information that I could go read, but I don't know, I'm kind of... Do I have to jump a fence? It's like a little fence, I don't know, eh? No, better not. Get told off. But anyway, George Dobson. Yeah, that's where they killed George Dobson. £3. It might be a better place to cross back here. I wanna go get a closer look at that, but don't know. In fact, no, we'll leave it today. I don't want to get told off. Don't much fancy getting told off for crossing the train tracks. It's well, it's not what you're supposed to do anyway. Yeah, I was stoked when I found that monument last time I was out here. Come out here to find it as to record this show, you know. I couldn't believe it when I found that big monument in the scrub there. I was like, that's cool. Anyway. This is actually going to be a 3-part series, so stay tuned. In the next part we're going to talk about the Mangatapu murders, but check this out. Dreadful murders. George Dobson is missing. People killed and robbed by a gang of bushrangers. In May 1866, the Kelly gang embarked on a crime spree on the west coast that would... So it's Burgess from the Burgess gang and Kelly from the Kelly gang. So you could call them the Kelly gang or the Burgess gang, I guess is fine. But anyway, would embark on a crime spree on the west coast that would culminate in the brutal murder of 5 men on the Mangatapu track near Nelson. It started when a plan was hatched to rob a gold buyer, Edward Fox, in Greymouth. But after a drinking binge, the gang murdered George Dobson, a surveyor, whom they mistook for Fox. Yes, that's the Burgess gang there. Check these dudes out. That's Burgess, Richard Hill, originally from London. That's Levi, the bloke who went out to stake out the bank up Westport. That's Sullivan. And it says Noon, alias Kelly. So his original name must be Noon, but he decided to call himself Kelly. It's very confusing. But anyway, check this out. The gang headed north to the rugged Mangatapu track at Deep Cave, where they met a party. Right, so this is... Yeah, actually, you know what, we'll save that story for next time, because I'm actually going to go up to the Mangatapu track and we'll talk about what happened up there. But yeah, long story short, 3 of the gang... Oh wait, here we go. It took... Okay, meanwhile, the search for George Dobson, with fears he had broken his leg in the dense bush, his father and brothers rushed west by coach over the mountains. It took 5 long weeks to find him, strangled with head wounds. He lay in the spot where Dobson Town was later built, close to where you are now standing. 3 of the gang were hung. A 4th, Joseph Sullivan, turned police informer and was sentenced to life. So that's this guy here, Sullivan. Yeah, he gave this fella. He gave evidence against the gang, and yeah, he got a life sentence. I think it was down in Dunedin. He served that. I'm not sure exactly how long he served, and then I think he split to Australia, eh? But yeah, check this out. Let's see what else it says up here. It's got... Yeah, it's just some old photos. Yeah, dreadful disclosures of Sullivan. Kelly gang member Joseph Sullivan turned informer, and his confession shocked New Zealand to its core. The most shocking part of Sullivan's confession, which we learned late last night, is the number of murders which have been committed by this infernal set. Newspaper of the Nelson Colonist reported. Sullivan acknowledged that more than 20 men have been murdered on the West Coast and robbed and buried by the crew to whom he belongs. He can certify to more than 20, but how many more appears he cannot say, for he cannot remember the number. This gang of atrocious demons cannot remember the number of unoffending men they have killed in cold blood. Historians have since found evidence of deaths at the time the gang was operating, but whether they were Kelly gang members remains a mystery. And then the sources they used for that was paper passed. Well, yeah, you guys can see the sources there, rather. Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting story. Yeah, these guys are out of control. Burgess and Kelly. Yeah, most articles on the internet call them the Burgess gang, but this thing does look pretty official, and it says Kelly gang. Anyway, Kelly from the Kelly gang, Burgess, yeah. And then after that, well, you know, people would just be talking, and everyday talk, and they'd say stuff like, yeah, you know, that little town up the Grey Valley, you know, well, what's it called? Oh, you know, the one where that fella got killed. What was his name? Dobson. And that's why they call this place Dobson. Dobson Grey Valley. It's not bad. Have a good one, everybody.